Welcome everyone to day 4 of the TOEFL preparation bootcamp. My name is Margaret Burke, but everyone calls me Mo, and I am located in San Jose, Costa Rica. But I know that we have people from all different parts of the region and probably the world. So thank you for joining in today. If you did not join in for the other sessions, I recommend that you can either visit Education USA Costa Rica on Facebook, and on the video section, you will see the recordings for reading, listening, and speaking. And on the first day, we went into some great detail about what Education USA is. So we're not going to go into such great detail, but I'm just briefly going to mention for those of you who are joining us for the first time that Education USA is a program sponsored by the US government that offers free educational advising services to students around the world. And we essentially help students like you apply to US universities and colleges, and our advising services are free. But again, if you wanted a little bit more information about our frequently asked questions, to clarify any questions you have, or to learn more about the 5 steps in the services we offer, please refer to the recording from day 1 from reading. But now I get to hand it over to Sorani, our wonderful teacher and professor, who's the Associate Director for TOEFL and GRE Client Relations, Costa Rica, Colombia, Honduras, Mexico, Panama, and Cuba, as well as a psychologist and a master in education and diversity. And I just wanted to remind everyone that for those of you who have been connecting every day on Zoom, we have been taking notes and tracking. And at the end of today's session, we're going to raffle 1 free TOEFL practice test, which is called an ATP. So just to let you know. And then I also wanted to mention really briefly before Sorani starts that next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, we're going to have a GRE bootcamp. So if you're applying to a master's or PhD program in the US, that could be super helpful. It's going to start 1 hour later than these sessions. So it's 5 p.m. CST, 6 p.m. CDT, like Mexico time, and 7 p.m. EDT, which is like New York City time, for example. So welcome, Sorani.
Thank you. Thank you, Margaret. Okay, good afternoon, chicos. How are you? Okay, today we are going to, this is the last part of the exam, writing, okay, writing. So let me share my screen first. Perfect, there we go. Okay, so the writing section. So again, this is the last part of your exam. And this is what you're going to find: 1 integrated task and 1 independent task. For the integrated task, you're gonna have to read. Okay, remember that everything that is integrated in TOEFL IBT means that that you have to read, and then you have to listen, or you just have to listen and take notes, etc. And then you have to speak. So here you're gonna have to write. You're not gonna have to speak. So you're gonna have to read this passage. I have to say that it is shorter than those passages that I shared with you last week. Yes, last week when we covered the reading section. Those reading passages, they were, not sure if you remember, like 700 words, okay, long. And that's like 2 long paragraphs and a kind of like a baby one. But for this one, it's just like 250 words, basically 2 paragraphs. So you're gonna have to read. Of course, you're gonna be given time to read. In fact, in here, you're gonna be given 3 minutes to read. And I'm gonna talk about the importance of reading and trying to identify main ideas, main idea and minor ideas, like details, places, etc. So that's extremely important, and I'm going to tell you why. So you're going to have 3 minutes to go over that passage. Then you're going to listen. You're going to listen to it is not a conversation, it is a lecture. Okay, you're going to see that again, the level of difficulty, like the level of that lecture is intermediate, is not advanced. Of course, you're gonna be allowed to take notes. You have to take notes. That's mandatory to take notes. And then you're gonna be asked a question where you're gonna have to use information from the reading and from the notes that you took from the lecture. The good news is, let me show you something. Hold on. This is the kind of like template that you're going to use in the official exam to work on your integrated and independent tasks, writing tasks. So as you can see here, the passage will never disappear. So this is great news. So you don't have to, I mean, many people, you know, while reading, like during those 3 minutes that you're given, many people take notes, and that's fine. I mean, that's okay. But that's not necessary. Okay, that's not really necessary, because again, you just have to read carefully, and then you're gonna find the passage again in the template. So you can cut pieces of information, not the long, you know, the whole like paragraph, no. You just, you know, choose sentences, so you can form like a more like elaborated writing task. So that is the idea. So this is good news. The passage will never disappear. Again, you can cut, you can paste, undo, redo. Here you have the word count. We're going to talk about the suggested word count for these two tasks. Now, you're going to be given 20 minutes to work on this integrated task. For the independent task, you're going to be given 30 minutes. This is the last task of the exam. And as I told you yesterday, the prompts, the topics that you're going to be given in this task are very similar, not to say the same. I mean, just the same ones that they use in the independent speaking task. Remember? Okay. They also use, now talking about scoring, they also use rubrics. Okay, because remember, they want to be like very objective when giving candidates the score, right? They get. So those rubrics can be found in our website. You just type writing rubrics TOEFL IBT, and that's going to take you to our official website, and that's where you're going to find like all these materials. Okay. So for the independent writing rubrics, your writing is going to be scored based on development of ideas, organization, quality, and accuracy of language used. For the integrated task, what they are going to evaluate is quality of writing and completeness and accuracy of your response. The ratings go from 0 to 5. Remember that in the speaking section, they went from 0 to 4. 4 was the highest score that you could get. Yeah, that you can get in the speaking section of IBT. Here it is 5. Okay, for the integrated one, as I said before, I said 250. They say 230 to 300. Yeah, that's kind of, you know, like that's the length of the passage. And as I said, it is not something like really long. You're gonna see it in a minute. And you're gonna be given 3 minutes to go over that passage. Then you're gonna listen to a lecture. It is going to be a 2 or 3 minute lecture about the same topic of that passage from a different perspective or with additional information. Okay. Again, the passage will never disappear. You don't have to memorize any of the information presented on the passage. And you're gonna be given 20 minutes to respond to the prompt. There is a suggested word count for this task, and that goes from 150 to 225, okay? 225 words. So before 150, nothing, okay? You have to go beyond that number, beyond 150 to 225. If you go beyond 225, that's gonna be okay, all right? The scorers won't penalize your response. And I'm highlighting on this because in other exams, they do penalize candidates when they exceed the number of words suggested. And that's okay. I mean, I'm not saying those exams are wrong, okay? That's okay. We're just different, and we don't penalize the students if you go beyond that suggested word count. Now, for the independent writing, so you're gonna see that prompt. Remember, it is a familiar topic, simple. So you're gonna be advised to use specific reasons and examples to support that opinion. Please remember that that if you feel like you're lacking in inspiration on the day of the exam, because that's normal, right? Think about examples. Think about your own experiences. Okay, that's gonna help. That's gonna help a lot. Because again, remember that those are familiar topics. Any person can say anything about it, about those topics. So think about examples. That's gonna help you a lot. And examples, not like listing examples, like this is what happened. Number one, number two, no. Okay, try to connect, try to develop the idea. Okay, so this is what happened last year. I was doing this and this and that, and someone came in and da 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 da. And the reason why I did it was because try to elaborate on the example. Okay, try to develop the idea. And you're gonna have 30 minutes, okay, in total for preparation, writing, and revision. The suggested word count for response is 300 words, from 250 to 300 words. So below 250, nothing, okay? More than 250, that's gonna be fine. More than 300, that's gonna be fine, okay? All right. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you, this is an example of a real passage that was used a couple of years ago in one of the official exams, TOEFL IBT. Here you can say, Sorani, you just said 250 words, and here I see 4 paragraphs. I had to make the fonts bigger, okay, because of the nature of this presentation, because this is the PowerPoint. But what you're gonna find in here is just 2 paragraphs, okay? So in this way, you're gonna have the possibility to read, you know, like easily. And so here we have the passage, and they say that you're gonna be given 3 minutes to go over this passage. I'm gonna give you the same 3 minutes, okay? The same 3 minutes to go over the passage. Please start now. Okay, 3 minutes. Okay, go back to my, okay, perfect. Okay, 3 minutes. I'm sure some of you, you're thinking, wow, Sorani, yeah. When someone says you have 3 minutes to do something, especially if you're being evaluated, that looks kind of short. But then when you experience the time, and that's what I wanted you to do, you realize that most of you, I'm sure you had at least the chance to go over the passage at least twice, okay, like in detail, at least twice. So it is extremely important to you know, like to use these 3 minutes wisely, because then when you identify main idea, minor ideas, details, here I have a couple of places, here I have a couple of dates, here we have some reasons, some assumptions. When you're able to identify all those aspects, it is going to be much easier for you to identify which information you need to extract out of this lecture. That's going to be much easier, because you can say, Sorani, the lecture is quite long, right? But if you're already familiar with the topic, if you're already familiar with the information, because she's going to be talking about the same aspects presented on the passage, okay? So it's going to be much easier, and that's what I want you to do. So now all of you, I'm sure you all read, okay, the passage. So what I need you to do now is to take notes, okay? Take notes about the most important, the most relevant aspects she's going to share with you. And those aspects, you know, that you find kind of connected with the information that you just learned in the paragraph, okay? All right, listen to the lady. Share sound. Okay, now.
No memoir can possibly be correct in every detail, but still, the Chevalier's memoir is pretty accurate overall, and is, by and large, a reliable historical source. Let's look at the accuracy of the 3 episodes mentioned in the reading. First, the loan from the merchant. Well, that doesn't mean that the Chevalier was poor. Let me explain. We know that in Switzerland, the Chevalier spent huge amounts of money on parties and gambling, and he had wealth, but it was the kind of property you have to sell first to get money. So it usually took a few days to convert his assets into actual money. So when he ran out of cash, he had to borrow some while he was waiting for his money to arrive. But that's not being poor. Second, the conversations with Voltaire. The Chevalier states in his memoir that each night, immediately after conversing with Voltaire, he wrote down everything he could remember about that particular night's conversation. Evidently, the Chevalier kept his notes of these conversations for many years and referred to them when writing the memoir. Witnesses who lived with the Chevalier in his later life confirm that he regularly consulted notes and journals when composing the memoir. Third, the Chevalier's escape from the prison in Venice. Other prisoners in that prison had even more powerful friends than he did, and none of them were ever able to bribe their way to freedom, so bribery hardly seems likely in his case. The best evidence, though, comes from some old Venetian government documents. They indicate that soon after the Chevalier escaped from the prison, the ceiling of his old prison room had to be repaired. Why would they need to repair a ceiling unless he had escaped exactly as he said he did?
Okay. Okay, perfect. So as you could see, again, level is intermediate. It is very easy to understand what she says. The vocabulary she uses is not that complicated, especially because most of it is included in the on the passage. You found it there. Okay. Okay. And then this is the task. Remember that this is the real template that you're gonna be using in the official TOEFL IBT. So this is the task.
Summarize the points made in the lecture, being sure to explain how they respond to the specific points made in the reading passage.
Okay. Made in the reading passage. So remember, this is the same passage. You can cut, you can paste, undo, redo. The word count is here. Okay. I need a volunteer. I would like to, just to listen to some of the, Grisel. Okay, Grisel, hi.
Hi, good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And you?
I'm okay, I'm fine. I'm very glad because tomorrow is Friday, right?
Yes.
Okay, Grisel. So I would like just to hear like some of the notes that you took. And if you can like elaborate on them a little bit, that would be more than great.
Okay, so
Grisel.
the woman says that the chevalier, I think it says, it was no poor. He did spend money, and she took so many days to make that money again. So when he was spending with gambling and other things, he spent that money, but then he took a few days to make it, to gain the money again. The second is
Excellent.
that with the conversations with Voltaire, every night he wrote notes to remember what they talked about. So he had constantly checking his notes. And the third note that I took, it was that from the escape of the prison, she said that other prisoners had more powerful friends, and they couldn't escape by breathing, I think it was. And then
Excellent. Continue.
sorry, I had a last note. And after he escaped, the security guard said that they had to repair the ceiling.
Exactly. Oh, wow, Grisel. Grisel, have you taken a TOEFL prep course before? Grisel, are you there?
Sorry, I wasn't able to open my microphone.
Okay.
No, but I've been studying listening and also integrated writing tasks. So I think that's very helpful for me.
Wow, you're doing great. You're doing great.
Thank
And
you so much.
not sure, Grisel, if you know, but many candidates, they say that this specific part, the integrated writing task, is like the most complicated one. Many candidates around the world. That's what they say.
That's what I've heard. Yes.
Yeah, and I don't, probably it is because, by the time you're working on this task, it is the last part of the exam, you're already tired. Probably that's one of the reasons. And the other reason is that here we don't have a conversation, but we have a lecture. Okay,
Exactly.
So that could be like, like the reason why they say that. But you're doing great. I'm sure you're going to get a great score. Okay.
Thank you. I hope so.
Gracias a ti. Okay, good. So here, okay, let me show you something before I share this long information with you, but I want to share it with you. So here we have some key points for the integrated task. Here, number one, I'm sure many of you, not only Grisel, but many of you took these type of notes. In the reading, it says that the loan the Chevalier took from the Swiss merchant shows that the Chevalier wasn't rich. And then in the lecture, she says that the Chevalier had wealth, but it was in the form of property. He borrowed only because it took a bit of time to convert his property to cash. Then number two, because in the reading, because the Chevalier's memoir was written such a long time after the conversations with Voltaire took place, it can't possibly have captured the conversations accurately. And then she said, the accuracy of the conversations should be believed because the Chevalier wrote down as much as he could remember each night directly after the conversations, and he used these notes to write his memoir. And finally, in the reading, it's likely that Chevalier's friends bribed jailers to release him and that the story about his escape from a Venetian prison through the ceiling is fiction. And then she said, there were others who had friends more powerful than the Chevalier's friends, and no bribe led to their freedom. So the Chevalier's exit was not due to a bribe, and shortly after the Chevalier left the prison, the ceiling had to be repaired. So this is good evidence that the story is a true one. So this is just an example of the notes that you should take. Now, yes, this is long. Yes, but you are going to read, and I want you to read. This part, do you remember that yesterday when we're talking about speaking, I told you that that they use the rubrics, but they also use benchmarks. And I'm sure you loved those benchmarks because you had like a more clear perspective about what the scorers expect from you. Yeah. Same thing for the reading, for the writing section. They use the rubrics, but they also use benchmarks. So here we have a benchmark number one. Number one is the lowest, remember, where is the, okay, here. This is the rubric, right? First, this is the integrated writing rubrics. Okay, so here it goes from 0 to 5. So here, a person, a candidate could get a 0. When does a candidate get a 0? A response at this level merely copies sentences from the reading, rejects the topic, or is otherwise not connected to the topic. It's written in a foreign language. It happens, believe it or not. Consists of keystroke characters or is blank. So those are the cases where candidates can get a 0, right? So let's say 1. That's the lowest score you could get. So I want you to read, and I need volunteers because I'm very tired, okay? So I want you to read, and chicos, Eduardo is going to start, then Nonie, I think, then Joanna, I need 5 people, Edgar, and then Laura. Thank you very much. So Eduardo, you're going to start with benchmark number 1, just reading. Nonie with number 2, Joanna number 3, Edgar number 4, and Laura benchmark number 5, like the nice one, the one that you're gonna get, okay? You're gonna get a 5. So one favor, Eduardo, please read, and everybody, please read with all the mistakes that you find in there, because these are sample answers from original, not original, real candidates, okay? So this is a response, number 1. This is a level 1. Eduardo, please read.
Okay. Good afternoon, first.
How are you?
Fine, thanks for asking. What about you?
Okay, I'm okay. I'm fine. Okay, go ahead.
So response. Before I start, I'd like to introduce very briefly about the Chevalier de Senghor. According to the reading passage and the lecture, he met various famous people, and his memoir has been a valuable historical source about European society in the 18th.
In 18th. Don't correct the mistakes.
In 18. That memoir is about the all of people who he met spoken words. It is one of the habit of the Chevalier de Senghor. Due to that, he could be more accurate on conversations and skeptical in critics. Another habit is loan for fortune. That means he didn't have any stereotype to other people about borrow or loan the money. Last of thing is trying to question it to himself. From this, his passion, he could overcome anything that comes from very hard situations, such as the case of the event of his escape from a notorious prison in Venice. I'm sorry, I cannot hear what it says. Italy. Okay. Chevalier is a person who is political and famous in the world, especially in Venice.
Okay, thank you, Eduardo. I have to say that I like your English a lot. Thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna give you. This is the feedback that the scorers gave. This person got 1. Okay, this is and you, I'm sure you're identifying like all the mistakes in there. So this is the feedback. Listen. This response is best described by the scoring guide's first bulleted point for the score point of 1. There is little or no meaningful or relevant coherent content from the lecture. As a result, it is difficult to understand whether the test taker understood what the task for this item type actually involves. Additionally, it is difficult to derive meaning from phrases such as stereotype to other people about borrow. Okay, so this is the feedback this person got. Let's continue with Joanna. Joanna is the next one, I think. This is benchmark number 2. So look at the difference between 1, 2, 3. That's what I want you to see. Joanna, hola. How are you?
Hi, good afternoon. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Okay, go ahead. Read.
Okay, benchmark 2 response. The reading passage shows Chevalier's memoir is doubtful. In other words, it disputes about the accuracy of the memoir. So the professor argued against the reading passage. First, she said Chevalier have needed to borrow money because he was leaving Switzerland for a long period. Although he had wealth, he wasn't living his own country and he had to borrow money from a Swiss merchant. Second, she proved about the accuracy of the conversations between Chevalier and the famous writer Voltaire. Chevalier and Voltaire met and conversed, and they will keep their contact indirectly. So though it was not a direct contact, it will be evidence that they keep conversation. At last, she present evidences about Chevalier's escape from a notorious prison in Venice. There were many prisoners who have more powerful friends, but no one escaped except Chevalier. It means jailers couldn't be bribed to free him. In other words, his escape was not connected his political friends.
Excellent, Joanna. Thank you very much. Nice English as well. Okay. So it says, this response is typical of responses that earned the score of 2 in that it omits important points made in the lecture. Only the highlighted portion, I'm going to tell you what the highlighted portion is, where it's the last paragraph. In the last paragraph, second sentence, there were many prisoners who have more powerful friends, but no one escaped except Chevalier. It means jailers couldn't be bribed to free him. So this is included in the feedback given. It says, only this part represents sufficient coverage of information from one of the lecture points. Okay, so this is a level 2 benchmark. Let's continue with Nonie. I think that's the pronunciation, right? Benchmark number 3. Hi. Nonie? Are you there?
She should have a notification that is allowing her to unmute herself on her screen.
Okay, so we could continue with Edgar, and then if she shows up,
okay, let's
we can
go with Edgar.
give the person the opportunity. Hola, Edgar.
Hi, hi, Sorani.
Okay, how are you?
Quite nervous, but I'm good.
No, nervous, no nervous. Just reading.
Okay, I'm gonna start reading benchmark 3 response. Giving some logical reason, the professor is defending the Chevalier memoir and making it reliable. She uses sophistications to make the critics convinced that their claim on memoir is not true. First of all, she mentions the issue about borrowing some money from a merchant by Chevalier. She thinks the Chevalier was in trouble with cash and he hadn't enough time to prepare it to provide the money. So the loan is reasonable and it doesn't show his poverty. Secondly, the critics say that he escaped out of the jail by bribing the watchman. But we know that there were more powerful murder in the jail with much more powerful friends and relations that made the escape so easier for them, but they weren't able to escape. Therefore, we can accept what the Chevalier have said about the way he could manage to escape from the prison using a piece of metal jigging the ceiling. And the last reason the critics gives on unreliability on the Chevalier's memoir is that the details of the conversation between Chevalier and Voltaire is not truly mentioned in details in the Chevalier's memoir. They believe that there's a long period of time between the time they were conversing and the time Chevalier wrote that on paper. and it is impossible to grade the exact talk that was occurred at that time. However, the professor solves the dilemma easily. In his point of view, the Chevalier had a chance to get the tool. Do the watchmen's come and go to repair the sailing? Overall, the professor is trying to make his opinion seem to be true.
Okay, nice reading, Edgar. Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see. I'm sure we are all are seeing, like, you know, like identifying a lot of mistakes in here: grammar, content, some typos, right? But there are some very positive things that I like a lot in this writing task. And one of them is that it is very well organized, and this is key. This is something that you're going to do when you work on these two writing tasks, both independent and integrated. If you take a look at what this person wrote, you're gonna see that it has an introduction. Still, there are some mistakes, right? That's why this person got 3. But look, first of all, ta 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 ta. Secondly, yeah. Then she says, therefore, it is misspelled, but it is a connector. He's trying to connect. I think it's he. Okay, no she. Okay. However. Da, da, da. And finally, this candidate is trying to, you know, to conclude, right? So the candidate really made an effort. Still needs to improve a lot, but I think it has very positive aspects. Okay, there are many positive aspects on this writing task. And listen to the feedback. This sentence, I'm gonna show you which one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Line number 4. When it says, the Chevalier was in trouble with cash and he hadn't enough time to prepare it to provide the money. Listen to this. This portion contains a usage error that results in a degree of obscured meaning that is characteristic of level 3 responses. The general sense of the lecturer's first point is conveyed. The writer understands that in the Chevalier's day, it took time to get cash, and that this idea can be used to disprove the contention that the Chevalier was poor. But the verb choice and the use of a pronoun with an unclear antecedent in the phrase to prepare it does not help the writer's case. The writer recognizes that there are 2 other points from the reading that need rebutting, but she or he may not have been able to comprehend and or select the important information from the lecturer's second point about the Chevalier's note-taking habits. Thus, the writer gets credit for conveying content from the lecturer's first and third points. When one point is omitted entirely, or as is the case here, when the reading point is referenced, but its corresponding lecture point is not discussed, the response should be held to the score of 3. Okay, super. Okay, let's continue with 4. We're missing just 2. Okay, you're gonna see why it is important that you guys familiarize with these benchmarks in a minute.
Sorani, we're gonna try one more time with Nonia's microphone, and if not, then we'll move to Laura.
Super.
Okay.
Go.
Okay, I don't think it's working, so we're going to try with Laura Jimenez now.
Yes. Okay, Laura. And remember, we're going to need another person for benchmark number 5. And we already have plenty of people there. Okay, Laura, how are you, Laura?
Great, I'm ready to start.
Okay, go ahead. Benchmark number 4, you're going to see a difference. This looks much better. Okay, so I want you, all of you, to identify with level 4, which benchmark 4 or 5. Okay, no 1, 2, 3, no, 4 or 5. Go ahead, Laura.
According to the reading passage, the Chevalier de Seigneau wrote a lot of things during his life, and his memoir has become very valuable for studying European history. But there are some different ideas between the lecture and the reading passage, which are arguing about whether his memoir is accurate and true. According to the reading passage, Chevalier was very rich while living in Switzerland, and he spent a lot of money. However, he used to borrow some money from others. The evidence indicates that he was not really rich, but according to the lecture, the professor says he needs some time to convert his work into cash, so he had to borrow some cash for a few days. In the reading passage, there is no doubt that he has met with Voltaire, a famous writer during that time, but it seems impossible to capture all their conversation completely. However, according to the lecture, the professor states that the conversations could be based on the notes or journals of Chevalier, so she thinks that the conversation could be true. According to the reading passage, people doubt that he really escaped from the prison by making a hole in the ceiling. People think that he was able to escape because he had very powerful friends who could offer him a bribe. But in the lecture, the professor indicates that other prisoners had more powerful friends than Chevalier did. Chevalier still got to escape. That is really a good reason to support the professor's idea. And also, according to the history, evidence shows that the ceiling of the prison was repaired after Chevalier's escape.
Excellent reading, Laura. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this looks much better. This looks much better. Still, like the organization in this one is even better, right? There are connectors in there, the evidence, however, according to the reading passage, you know, it sounds, so here we have the feedback. This response provides examples of inaccuracy and omission of information from the lecture that are minor. You see, they are friendly, the scholars are friendly. For point 1, instead of mentioning that the Chevalier's assets were of the type that took time to convert into money, the lecturer refers them as property. The test taker mentions that the Chevalier had work that it took time to convert into money. One interpretation of this is that the test taker thinks that the Chevalier had done some writing that he was going to sell. Since it's possible that that process would also take time, the gist of the point comes true, but that detail is wrong. Coverage of the second point also contains the gist of what the lecturer explains, but the detail about when the Chevalier took notes immediately after conversing is omitted. The third point is conveyed with mixed results. The lecturer's contention about the other prisoners is incomplete. The assertion, none of them were ever able to bribe their way to freedom, is omitted entirely. But the reference to the prison ceiling being repaired is well conveyed, okay? Can you see how complete is this feedback? Yeah, it is very complete. Nicolas, I think Nicolas wants to read the last one. This is like the 5. This is like the perfect one for TOEFL IBT scorers. So 4 and 5, this is what they expect from you. Okay, of course, 5 is better, right? Nicolas, hi.
Hi.
Okay, read, please.
Okay. The reading passage and the lecture are both talking about the memory of the Chevalier, the silent, and its rate of accuracy. The first point of the lecture disputes the reading passage argument that the Chevalier wasn't wealthy. The lecture suggests that the fact that he borrowed money from Swiss merchants doesn't mean his poverty. The Chevalier probably had to convert his assets into money in order to pay for his parties and gambles. However, because it takes time to do so, he may first have borrowed cash to deal with all the costs. The second point of the lecture argues against the reading passage opinion about Chevalier's conversation with Voltaire. The reading passage argues that the conversation may not be accurate because the conversations had taken place long before it was recorded. However, according to the lecture, the Chevalier used to write down every conversation with Voltaire immediately after they had finished conversing. As a result, the Chevalier could use his notes and journals to complete his memories with Voltaire. The third point of the lecture refers to when the Chevalier escaped from prison. It is said that the Chevalier had escaped from jail using a piece of metal to make a hole in the ceiling. while the reading passage believed that he may just have bricked the jailers to get out of prison. However, the lecturer disagreed with such thought by comparing the Chevaliers to other prisoners who had even more powerful friends, but never succeed in escaping. Also, it provides a material of the old Venetian government, in which it is described that soon after the Chevalier escaped, the ceiling of the room he had stayed had to be repaired. Unlike the reading passage, the lecturer considers the memoirs of the Chevalier design as a reliable and valuable historical source.
Thank you, Nicolas. Very clear, Nicolas. Thank you very much. And this is a level 5, and I'm sure some of you are saying, wow, this is a level 5, but I see, however, the lecturer disagree. Okay, the writer is omitting an S, and here we have this content. It is not perfect. Again, the scholars are not expecting perfection from you. They are fully aware of the fact that we are, right, non-native English speakers. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be organized, easy to read, connectors like well used, and that's all. Note that in coverage of all 3 points, as well as in the final sentence of the response, the writer has explicitly indicated what the relationship between information from the reading and the lecture is. Though test takers need not do this explicitly, it is one successful strategy for ensuring the cohesion of a response. There are a few language errors in this response that illustrate quite well the scoring guide's reference to errors that do not result in inaccurate or imprecise presentation of content or connections. They don't have to be perfect. Remember, this is a first draft for both integrated and independent. They are going to give you a score based on the fact that those are first drafts. Note, for example, the word form error gambles in point 1 coverage and the subject verb agreement error lecture disagree, and less than ideal word choice material in point 3 coverage. The word choice error in point 2, complete his memoirs with Voltaire, is confusing. He didn't write the memoirs with Voltaire, but the idea of who, if anyone, wrote the memoirs along with the Chevalier is not central to this point. So the error can be overlooked and is what is overall a well-written response. Super. Okay, so I'm going back to this exercise in a minute. Thank you everybody for volunteering, and the ones who didn't have the chance to do it, you're gonna be able to do it next week in the GRE presentations. Okay. Okay, so that was the integrated task, and this is the last task. This is the independent task. Hold on. Independent task. Do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Always telling the truth is the most important consideration in any relationship. Remember, a familiar topic. Okay, so you just need to work on this. Remember, if you lack inspiration on the day of the exam, think about examples, think about your own experiences, etc. Use specific reasons and examples to support your answer. So what I want you to do right now, I mean, now that you're familiar with the rubrics, you have the rubrics there. In fact, what I can do right now, okay, let me see. What I can do right now is I can share the rubrics with you. Here we go. Writing rubrics. Okay. So right there. So if you look at the chat box, you're going to find the writing rubrics there, the real ones for independent and integrated and the integrated tasks. So what you're going to do is I'm going to give 3 of you. Margaret is going to tell who in a minute. Okay. So I'm going to give you, I think, 2 hours. Right, that's a lot, because for this one you only get in the official exam 30 minutes. So I'm gonna give you 2 hours. Margaret is going to clarify these things about your time and my time and etc. I'm gonna say Colombian time 7 p.m. Okay, 7. I'm gonna give you till 7 to work on this task. Just 3 of you.
So that would be 1 more hour. You guys have 1 hour and 10 minutes for the 3 people that I'm asking, or I'm choosing. 6 p.m. CST, which is Costa Rica, Guatemala, Nicaragua. 7 p.m. CDT, which is Panama and Mexico, and 8 p.m. EDT, which would be like the Dominican Republic and the Caribbean.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so only till my time, 7 p.m. my time. Okay.
Okay. Would you like me to choose the 3 people?
Yes, please. But I want to let them know that at 7:05, I won't receive more responses. I'm gonna send you feedback by tomorrow. Okay. So you can choose the 3 people, Margaret.
Okay. Let's go with Gabriela Rodriguez, Nonye, and we need 1 more volunteer, Laura Jimenez. You 3 are chosen. Nonye, Gabriela, and Laura Jimenez.
Okay. And I want to share my email with you guys again.
So those 3 have been chosen to do this writing practice and send it to Sorani's email in the chat. And she will send you feedback to those 3 individuals, Nonye, Gabriela, and Laura.
Nonye, Gabriela, and Laura. Yes, that's it. So I think this is gonna be, like a great exercise for you, because I'm not a scorer, but I am very familiar with how they do it. So I think I can give you something that could be close to what the TOEFL IBT scorer will give you. Okay. So this is the independent task. Okay, this is basically like all the information that I wanted to share. I'm very glad, we're done. 88 participants in here, and I guess more people in Facebook Live, and right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we're going to thank you, Sorani, for such a wonderful TOEFL bootcamp. I know a lot of the students are very grateful. And now we are going to share who won the free ATP. So we had 45 people in total that participated all 4 days. So congratulations to all of you. And now we're going to see who wins the ATP. And
the
we're gonna
TPO.
TPO. Can't get the letters right. Diego Jurado. Very good, Diego. Diego Jurado, I will be emailing you tomorrow with the information. Congratulations. So we only have a few questions from the audience, so let me ask you those really fast. The first question is about the integrated writing task. Will I be able to read the passage again while I'm writing the essay, or will the passage go away?
No, you're going to have it all the time. During the 20 minutes that you're going to be working on that writing task, you're going to have access to the passage.
Great. And another person wanted to know if it's like not a great idea to write more than 4 paragraphs, or if they want to write 5, is that okay? Or is it a strict rule?
No, they can, if they go beyond the suggested word count, Margaret, I mean, what I felt once when I was in Princeton in one training with the scorers, is that they like it. They like it. They like the fact that they can go beyond. The fact is that not many candidates can go beyond, like 400 words or 500 because of the time, right? It's just 30 minutes for the independent and 20 minutes for the integrated.
Okay. And how much would a few typos affect in the evaluation of the essays? Is that going to have a big result on the score, or how much does that matter?
Yeah, my guess is that if they are very recurrent, right? If there are many typos, okay, scorers are gonna say, okay, there's a pattern in here. But if there are, like 3, 4, 5 in 300 words, that's not gonna be a problem. Okay,
perfect. And finally, someone wants to know if a paragraph counts as one long line, or what qualifies as a paragraph?
Nice question. That's why you have to take a TOEFL prep course. It is very important to know what a paragraph is. A normal paragraph is going to have at least 3 sentences, okay, from 3 to 6 sentences. That is a well-written paragraph. That's something that you're going to learn in any written production or composition class course.
Okay, perfect. And then two more last questions. Does the number of points or ideas matter, or are the scorers more concerned about the development of the essay?
Can you repeat that question?
Yeah, I think they're asking like, is it okay if they just have one or two central ideas, and they like develop those ideas, or if they want you to develop many ideas?
No, it always, well, in the integrated task, you have to stick to what it is being asked, right? So if they are asking you to write, to include like the three more relevant ideas in the passage and compare them to the ones presented in the lecture, the three ideas that has to be done. And then for the independent one, I mean, based on my experience, Margaret, I would go for, 250 and 300 words. I will go for working on at least 2, maximum 3 examples. I think 3 is too much. I think 2 examples and elaborate. That's what I was telling them before, that it is not a matter of listing, like example number 1, example number 2. No, working on, okay, this is the example, and build up, like a whole situation with that example. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Finally, someone else asked about where the recordings, these are being recorded to Facebook Live on Education USA Costa Rica, and they're also being uploaded every day to the Education USA Guatemala YouTube channel, which I just put in the chat. So you'll have those there. And one last final plug for you all to please participate in the GRE Bootcamp happening next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at this time, right now, 5 p.m. Costa Rica, 6 p.m. Colombia, Mexico, Panama, 7 p.m. Dominican Republic. So thank you, Sorani, for a wonderful week. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we will see some of you next week in the GRE Bootcamp.
Okay, thank you. Bye.